The psychology of feeling lost. You aren't actually lost. Lost implies there's a specific map you were supposed to follow and you dropped it. But what if I told you that map never existed? We live in an age of infinite choice, and psychology tells us that when the brain is faced with infinite options, it doesn't feel free. It feels paralyzed. The heaviness you feel in your chest isn't failure. It's the weight of 1,000,000 lives you think you should be living, instead of the one you actually are. The feeling of being lost is actually an initiation, not a defect. It's a sign that your old self is dying, and it's the most powerful thing that can happen to you. Here's what nobody tells you about feeling lost. Your brain evolved to think uncertainty equals danger. When you don't know what's next, your nervous system interprets it as predator nearby. The heaviness in your chest, that's not spiritual emptiness. That's your brain screaming at you to find safety, to find certainty, to find a plan. But here's the trap. You've tried to fix this feeling. You've journaled, you've set goals, you've watched videos like this one, hoping someone will hand you the answer. And still, you feel stuck. That's what psychologist Martin Seligman called learning helplessness. When you repeatedly try to control an outcome and fail, your brain learns a devastating lesson. Nothing I do matters. So you stop trying. Not consciously, but neurologically, your brain decides that effort is pointless, and that's when the real paralysis sets in. Now add another layer. Psychologist Barry Schwartz identified two types of people: maximizers and satisficers. Satisficers pick something good enough and move on. Maximizers need the perfect choice. And if you're watching this video, you're probably a maximizer. You can't just pick a career, a city, a relationship. You need the one that's right. The problem? When every choice feels permanent, choosing becomes impossible. This is the paradox of choice. The more options you have, the more paralyzed you become. Because deep thinkers like you don't see one path forward, you see 10, 20, 100. And each one branches into infinite possibilities. So you freeze. You scroll. You distract yourself with dopamine because actual decisions about your own life feel overwhelming. And here's where it gets worse. You look around and everyone else seems fine. They have jobs, partners, plans. They post their wins online. So you think, what's wrong with me? Why can't I figure it out like everyone else? But the thing is, they didn't figure it out. They just chose a map and stopped questioning it. They picked a direction and committed, even if it wasn't perfect. You can't do that. Not because you're broken, but because you see too clearly. You see the contradictions in every path. You see how arbitrary most life choices are. You see that the right answer doesn't exist. That awareness is both your gift and your burden. Because while others can sleepwalk through life following the script, you're awake. And being awake in a world that rewards conformity is exhausting. So if the feeling is biological, not spiritual, why does it hurt so much? Because you're not just anxious, you're in something deeper. You're in liminality. Liminality is a term for the threshold state between who you were and who you're becoming. All rites of passage need this uncomfortable void. The caterpillar doesn't become a butterfly by trying harder to be a caterpillar. It dissolves completely in the cocoon first. That's what's happening to you right now. The reason you feel lost is because your deeper self finally rejected that external map. Society's definition of success, your parents' expectations, the timeline you thought you were supposed to follow. That map wasn't wrong because it was cruel. It was wrong because it wasn't yours. This rejection had to happen for you to become whole. Carl Jung understood this. He said, "You can't integrate your true self without first sitting in the darkness of I don't know who I am anymore. The void you're in right now isn't emptiness, it's potential. It's the space where your actual life can finally take shape, but only after the old one burns away completely. Being lost also leads to something most people fear: aloneness. But this isn't loneliness. Loneliness is the pain of feeling unseen. Aloneness is the gift of finally hearing your own voice. When you're alone in the void, separate from the noise of who you should be, something remarkable happens. You start to remember what you actually want, not what sounds impressive, not what your family expects, what you want. That voice is quiet. It doesn't shout over the chaos. It whispers in the stillness. And you can't hear it until you stop running from the silence. So here's the backwards secret. The harder you try to find yourself, the more lost you become. Peace doesn't come from discovering the answer. It comes from releasing the need to know. Alan Watts said it perfectly. To have faith is to trust yourself to the water. When you swim, you don't grab hold of the water, because if you do, you will sink and drown. Instead, you relax and float. You've been grasping for certainty, for direction, for proof that you're not wasting your life. And every time you grab, you sink a little deeper. So let's try something different. For the next 24 hours, your only job is to stop trying. Here's what that looks like. Morning, no phone, no podcasts, no books. For the first 2 hours, nothing. You're addicted to other people's maps. For one morning, sit with your own lack of direction, without trying to fill the silence. Don't meditate, don't journal, just exist. Let your mind wander. Notice what comes up when there's no input to distract you. Afternoon, pick one mundane task. Washing dishes, folding laundry, something simple. Do it slowly, focusing on the sensation, the warmth of the water, the texture of the fabric. When your mind says, "My life is a mess," bring it back to, "This water is warm." This is what is called the mind of no mind. You're training your brain to be present instead of constantly planning. Evening. Write down 3 things you're confused about. Then write this sentence: I do not know the answer yet, and that is okay. You're externalizing the uncertainty so you don't have to carry it into sleep. You're giving your brain permission to not have it figured out. What happens when you stop thrashing? Your true direction doesn't come from forcing a plan. It emerges naturally when you stop fighting the current. The path reveals itself not because you found it, but because you finally got quiet enough to notice it was always there. Being lost is often just a symptom of waking up, but nobody warns you that waking up can be incredibly lonely. We're sold the idea that spirituality is all peace and bliss, but the reality is often isolation and confusion. If you feel like your awareness is more of a burden than a gift right now, click here to learn about the dark side of this journey that no one talks about. Take care.